Fox White House correspondent Peter Doocy just got leveled in remarkable fashion. At a press briefing, Doocy tried to regurgitate a debunked Donald Trump claim that the Biden administration doesn't have money for hurricane victims in the U.S. Southeast because the funds were used on immigrants and on international efforts.
The administration has money to send to Lebanon without Congress coming back. But Congress does have to come back to approve money to send to people in North Carolina. Do I have that right?
Here's what I'm going to be very clear about. The president and the vice president has had a robust whole of government response to this. Hundreds of millions of dollars. I said it at the top, more than $200 million that we have directly put towards survivors here.
People in Lebanon right now, without Congress having to come back, what does it say about his values? There's not enough money right now for people in North Carolina who need it. That's not misinformation.
Wait, no, that is your whole premise of the question is misinformation, sir. What you do? Yes, it's misinformation.
Is there money to send to Lebanon right now?
I just mentioned to you that we provided more than $200 million to folks who are impacted in the area, and I just shared with you that people are deciding not to. People are deciding not to.
Not wait. To Congress that there's not enough money to help people.
We're
in North
talking
Carolina
about the SBA disaster loan.
That's money for people in North Carolina,
and that's important. And people in North Carolina need that.
And for the record, Small Business Administration disaster loans are different from other kinds of relief that the government provides. The SBA loans are the first initiative. Other help is coming once Congress appropriates the money. But that concept seemed too complex for Doocy.
We're going to need additional funding. That's
exactly what I just asked about. And you said it was misinformation. Yes.
What you're asking me is why Congress needs to come back and do their job. That's what you're asking me. Congress needs to come back and do their job and provide extra assistance, extra funding to disaster relief fund. That's what Congress needs to do, and we're going to continue to urge that. You may not want that, but that's okay. That's what this president wants, and that's what the vice president wants. Thanks, everybody.
White House spokesperson Karine Jean-Pierre was right to be steamed. Most journalists in Washington understand there are several different budgets and sources that can be tapped to provide disaster relief. Some funds are available immediately, others require additional congressional action. But the way legislation gets approved in Washington provides an opportunity for the Trump campaign and his bootlickers at Fox to make up nonsense about inefficient federal government responses and people being left stranded. On MSNBC's Morning Joe, the Trump talking points and the people delivering it are getting blasted.
Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Eric Trump, everyone else in the Republican Party, entire news channels out and out lying about what's going on the ground there, talking about civil war. It's staggering, just staggering when you have Republican governors from those states, Republican senators from those states, Republican mayors from those states, Republican county commissioners from those states, Republican officials from those states saying that they're doing great. In a tragic situation, they are coordinating very well with the federal government. Donald Trump, shame on Donald Trump. Show this Charlotte Observer headline. It's an editorial from the largest paper in the state of North Carolina. Shame on Donald Trump for worsening North Carolina's tragedy with political lies.
That editorial matters because less than a month before the election, it could swing undecided voters against Donald Trump. And North Carolina is a battleground state, a state that is also trying to clean up from Hurricane Helene. But Donald Trump's lies have been so frequent and pervasive that FEMA has had to allocate resources to set up a rumor response page on its website. FEMA's director says Donald Trump's lies are demoralizing aid workers. Trump said Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have stolen $1 billion from FEMA and are spending it on housing illegal migrants. Perhaps Trump got the idea for this lie from his own time in office when the Trump administration actually did move $155 million from FEMA to pay for migrant detention centers. Trump lied when he said Biden was refusing to help people in Republican areas and would not take calls from Republican governors. As Joe Scarborough noted, the Republican governors in those states keep proving Trump wrong. The governors, who are not usually cheerleaders for the Biden-Harris administration, say the federal government response has been terrific and extensive. Residents of Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina keep saying that as well. And a few folks on social media are going off on Trump.
I need y'all to hear me when I say this. If you're one of the people that's getting online right now and saying that FEMA's only giving out $750 in assistance, or that FEMA's out of money because they've been diverting it towards the border or for migrants, or that FEMA is confiscating donations and money, you. And I mean that to the depths of my soul with every fiber of my being. Because the only thing that tells me when you say like that is that you have been so fortunate to never have to use FEMA, to never have gone through something like this. I cannot describe to you the level of rage I have experienced over the last few days, watching y'all spread this mis and disinformation that will get people killed, that will keep people from getting the money and resources that they need to recover. There are multiple programs that you can apply for. Do you want to know how I know that? Because after Ian 2 years ago, that $750 is immediate assistance. That showed up in my account 6 hours after I applied for it. I applied for an SBA disaster loan for my business. There are multiple ways you can access money. There are multiple agencies. Do you want to know why FEMA is being tied to the border right now? Because it's under the control of the Department of Homeland Security, DHS. Do you want to know who did that? You can thank George W. Bush and Dick Cheney for that, because they did that after 9/11. FEMA's not running out of money because they're diverting it towards the border or for immigrants. They're out of money because Congress doesn't give them enough money. If you're mad about the cap being set at $750 for emergency assistance, or that they're running out of money, call Congress.
Now, on top of the immediate situation following Hurricanes Helene and Milton, there is a longer-term problem if Donald Trump returns to the White House. His plan for governance, known as Project 2025, would gut FEMA, including eliminating flood insurance. Governors would have to come up with most of the disaster relief money from their own state coffers. Project 2025 would also disband the National Weather Service and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration agencies responsible for predicting storms and providing forecasts. If Project 2025 is realized, that weather app on your phone and the meteorologist on your local news would not be able to provide complete, comprehensive coverage. And the ability of the federal government to respond to disasters would get kneecapped at a time when the storms are getting more intense and more frequent. Look, I get that MAGA extremists want to bury their heads in the sand, but they don't need to bury or drown everybody else along with them. Facts and reality matter, especially when Americans are in harm's way. And it should be clear by now that America is in danger not just from Mother Nature, but from the hurricane of lies coming from Donald Trump. Trump has redefined blowhard and reminded us that blowhard is not just a description of wind speed. It's a description of Trump-level nonsense. By the way, Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson just threw Donald Trump under the proverbial bus.
Joe Biden has been the president for almost 4 years. Everybody needs to get over this and move forward. That's what we need to talk about. What happens on November 5 and the days after that? I think that's really important, and that's what the Americans demand for us to talk about.
So like Senator Vance, you cannot say unequivocally that Joe Biden won the 2020 election and Donald Trump lost?
George, I'm the Speaker of the House. I work with the President of the United States all the time. Joe Biden has been the president for 4 years. There's not a question about this, okay? It's already been done and decided, and this is a gotcha game that's played, and I'm not playing it.
Check out that video at the link below. I'm David Schuster. Thanks for joining us.